What is going on, guys? We are the Little Kings. My name is Ryan, aka No Mercy Merc.
And my name is also Ryan, aka Penguin Monster. This week on the Little Kings podcast, we talk about the popular streamer Dellor. Seems to be a changed man. I guess Twitch thinks so too. His ban has been reversed. And then we get into some controversial Discord submitted topics. First, we give our thoughts on cancel culture. And then what do we think about children being used in content creation?
Well, let's get into it. So, I know that within our podcast, there's been a lot of talks about Twitch bans and all of that stuff going on in the Twitchverse. I don't know if that's what they call it, but Twitchverse.
They do now.
And just today announced that, I don't know if you know him, but Dellor
Not
was
at
a
all.
very popular streamer on Twitch a while back, and he was actually permanently banned they indicated it as it fell under the lines of like self-harm,
Ooh.
but also like just over aggression. He had this reputation of always breaking a keyboard, and one time he took it too far and he like slammed it on his head multiple times. So he permanently got banned from it.
I think I may have seen clips of the keyboard breaking, unless that's just like a popular thing in general, which also could be.
He did it a lot. I know he would go through like tons of keyboards a month and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. But so he was permanently banned from Twitch while back. So he switched to YouTube streaming, and he's been streaming there. He's gained a good following. He's averaging like 10,000 viewers or something, which is phenomenal.
10,000 is awesome. Is he still breaking keyboards?
So that's the thing. Oh. So he's gone to therapy. He's done everything in his power to get himself to be more controlled, a better person, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Good for him. Exactly. And with the recent shutdown of Mixer, there were a lot of Mixer streamers who were banned from Twitch that Twitch actually reversed their ban on, permanent bans, because they forgave them for what they did.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you knew that, but there was like this one big petition about this girl streamer who got wrongfully banned in everyone else's eyes, that they actually reversed her permanent ban.
Okay.
So she was able to stream on Twitch. So once all that started happening, Dellor posted like basically like, I'd love to come back to Twitch. So like he's been posting about this for like 2-3 months now, and all his following is like, look, he's a better man now, like he's changed, stuff like that. And today his account was officially unbanned.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what he does.
Yeah, so there's not been a stream yet. It was just announced today.
Yes, it was just announced today. Okay. He hasn't streamed live on Twitch or YouTube at this point. So I'm interested to see if like, was his YouTube success enough to have him stay on YouTube? But now he has the freedom to play with whoever he wants.
Sure.
Which could have been his whole motive behind all of it. He could have been saying, oh, I'd love to come back to Twitch, but like he's not exclusive with anyone, so he can do whatever he wants.
Oh, see, yeah, I was going to ask that. So there's no exclusivity contract as of yet.
No.
Obviously, YouTube kind of had him because Twitch was not letting him on there anyways. But now that he's gained kind of a following over there, you're right. He's got some leverage in terms of negotiations. That's interesting.
And so I was actually seeing all of his fans basically tweeting at him saying like, don't do it, man. Like, don't go back to Twitch. Like, it takes one bad day. Like, you're already on their radar. It takes one bad day for it to be gone again. So like Twitch, you have a good standing with right now. You've done nothing wrong there. Like you're in a good place
with YouTube.
So like, with YouTube. Yeah.
Right.
So I thought it was really interesting that like majority of his people like him on YouTube, love him on YouTube, prefer him on YouTube.
Yeah. I wonder how much of his audience is net new over on YouTube.
Is net new?
As in, like, was not a follower on Twitch before.
Oh, yes. Okay. So you're wondering how many people actually followed him from Twitch to
Yeah,
YouTube
like
and how many
how?
people are brand new YouTube?
Yeah, that kind of is a more interesting, like, broad question there. How many people do you think exclusively watch YouTube live streaming that don't also watch on Twitch? Because I know
I
there's plenty of people who are the opposite, right? Like they only watch their live streaming content on Twitch. I wonder if there's any kind of portion of the YouTube live streaming views that come from exclusive viewers.
That's a really good question. I would think the percentage is pretty low, meaning that there's a lot of crossover from YouTube to Twitch, but not as much from Twitch to YouTube
Right.
for streaming content. Obviously, we all go
Obviously.
on YouTube,
Yeah.
but I wonder if that statistic's out there.
I
It
don't know.
probably is. It maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I did see today that I don't know where I saw it. It was probably a tweet or something. YouTube is the second most watched website by far, first being Netflix.
Hmm.
And actually, I even thought, to me, that was a little strange. I even thought maybe YouTube would be first.
I would think that too.
But no, it's not. It's second to Netflix, but both of them are like giants compared to even the third platform, and I forget what the third platform was.
Is it like Vimeo?
It'd probably be Twitch, I would think.
Oh yeah, yeah. Does Reddit count in that
Well, Reddit doesn't
statistic?
have original content, right? Like it's all links to other places. So usually it'll be like if you post on r/videos, usually that's linking to a YouTube video.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
I guess you could,
Okay.
I guess maybe you could look at like embedded video views
Hmm.
to see like if it was watched on the Reddit platform. But I think those views ultimately still count for YouTube.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
So,
That's interesting. I am surprised by Netflix and YouTube because I would think even YouTube being free,
yeah.
100% free would boost it up.
So I thought about that a little as I was looking at it because I was like, definitely personally, I watch way more YouTube than Netflix.
Hmm.
But then I thought about older generations, and I think their YouTube usage is primarily specific things that they're looking up. Like they're going on a search engine. They're not so much following certain creators.
Hmm.
And I think Netflix is much more similar to cable TV and regular movies and more quote unquote mainstream, really old technologies. And I think it's kind of a natural movement for a lot of older folks. I would think
Hmm.
our generation and below would watch YouTube more. Um,
Hmm.
but we also watch Netflix. So I think Netflix gets us and like older folks. Like at least this is obviously anecdotal because I'm just going off of me and my family. But like in my family, my parents and grandparents all watch Netflix, but none of them watch YouTube.
Hmm.
Whereas me and like my sister, we watch a ton of YouTube, but we also watch Netflix.
Hmm. Well, so I wonder how much the Netflix number is actually skewed by people just running Netflix in the background. Because like I know our household does that
Mm.
a lot where we'll just put on The Office while we're doing like other things around the house. Whereas like any YouTube video I watch, I actively watch it
Oh,
because I
I'm not the
clicked on it
same.
because I want to watch it.
I'm
Do you
not the
watch
same.
do you watch long term like long what's it called?
I watch
Long
like a
form?
lot of podcasts and stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Like when
I don't.
if I so sometimes I fall asleep in my bed like a normal person. But a lot of the time, I fall asleep on the couch first and then move over to my bed. And if I'm
Mm.
falling asleep on the couch, it's on YouTube with autoplay on, uh, usually watching some sort of long form content, whether it's a
Hmm.
podcast, a video documentary, something like that. And then at some point, I'll inevitably fall asleep, and then I'll wake up watching something completely different from what I was watching when I went to bed.
Hmm.
So, but I think obviously that's anecdotal again, and I think you're probably right in terms of the majority of YouTube usage would be like focused viewing and not so
Mhm.
much. I mean, they have autoplay for a reason. I'm sure there's plenty of videos that get views from that. But you're right. I think it's more focused watching and listening.
Mhm. Because I know if a video is over 15 minutes long, I won't watch it unless I know the content creator. So like I'm very short form.
Mm.
Like if you have a crappy thumbnail but your video is only 2 minutes long, I'll probably watch it. Like because you're not going to take that much time away from me, but I might still be
Yeah,
interested in like the title or whatever. So it's like I'm very short term
that's interesting
or
because
short form.
I feel like that was more old YouTube where
Hmm.
that was what was pushed, that type of content. But now all the algorithms and stuff are more based on overall watch time. So a lot
Hmm.
of creators are making more long form content to fit that. Actually, they got in a little bit of hot water. It was either over the weekend or last week. It wasn't like a crazy thing, but they put out a tweet that said like, you know the meme where it's like no one, absolutely no one, and then something. Yeah,
Hmm.
so they said no one, absolutely no one. YouTube creators starting their content after 15 minutes of intro. which is like which is actually kind of a funny joke.
It
Um,
is.
but they got into hot water because people were like, they're doing this because of your algorithms and the way that you push content type of thing. So
Hmm.
they ended up taking it down and apologizing for that. Um, but yeah, they definitely push longer form content now. And I, I guess because I treat YouTube more like normal TV now, I usually watch long. I mean, it's a mixture. I also use the add to queue feature a lot.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
I
Yeah.
used to open like 50 tabs, and then I was like, oh, wait, you can just hit that button and then it'll make a queue. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should queue up one of our videos while you're dozing off on the couch, so that once the one you're watching is done, we can get more watch time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Anybody
keep that in
listening?
mind. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. The Little Kings, you can watch us actively or in the background. It helps us either way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, speaking of watching and viewing, the people who view this podcast and are like active viewers, ones who participate in our Discord server, which, by the way, link down below on YouTube, links everywhere. Even if you're listening on audio, it'll be in the description. We'd love to have you come join our little budding Discord community because that's where we can hang out offline. And then also we talk about past podcast episodes, and we love to hear your ideas. So this episode, I thought we could catch up a lot on some of the backlog we have from viewer submitted ideas. A few controversial topics, actually,
ooh, yes.
which I thought we could start off with. There's two that I think could be really controversial and might be fun to get each of our takes on because I don't think we've talked about this much together. So let me give you the two, and then I'll let you pick which one you want to go at first.
Okay.
Okay. So both of these were submitted by Discord user John. First one being cancel culture and what our thoughts are on it. Second one being children being used for content creation and our thoughts on that.
Whew, okay. Yes.
But see how, yeah, both could definitely lead to some controversy here. We might need to be a little careful.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know I'd have to watch my words today and
Or
pre-think
else
some
we
stuff.
might get
Okay.
canceled. That's
Uh,
fun.
yeah. I actually had a situation tonight. Okay, we can
Oh,
get into that. So cancel culture.
okay.
We'll start with cancel culture.
Sounds good.
First and foremost, I want to say that I absolutely love the song by Harris Heller called Cancel Culture. Shout outs to Harris Heller.
Oh, I
Great
don't think
song.
I've heard that.
One of my favorite songs. Um, oh, it's such a good song. It's
Oh,
such
I'll
a
have
good
to go
song.
listen. Okay.
Anyways, um, cancel culture.
I love how careful you're being.
It's literally like, well, there are okay. I think there are good forms of cancel culture, but I think some take it a little too far and maybe are overly like sensitive. Like there are people who are overly sensitive to certain things and think it should be canceled and stuff like that. And I think what cancel culture has kind of led to is even more of like a divide between people, because like obviously when you have cancel culture there are two obvious sides of like these people think it's fine and these people think it's completely wrong, that it should be taken off the internet and never see the light of day again.
Right. And then there's probably some people in the middle as well who are like, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, but I feel like it definitely creates that like hard line in the sand of okay, you can now pick a side
For sure.
kind of thing. And like I don't this isn't a is this a new thing? Is cancel
Um,
culture new, or has it never been like branded this way before
I
or as
think,
strongly talked about
yeah,
before?
I don't think it's a totally new thing, but I think recently, and maybe it has to do with social media actually. I think a lot more people have a voice nowadays that may have not been heard, or at least not listened to uh, years ago. So I think there was canceling of certain individuals or brands over super controversial things. But I think with more and more people having representation and wanted to be treated fairly, um, there's more and more that may be kind of on that line that those type of people will think it's past and therefore want that individual or brand to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think definitely like the term cancel culture, I had not heard before a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it happens more often now. And obviously there's a term coined for it. So it's just more prevalent and obvious, I think, while it's happening. Like there's certain like creators where something will come up and it's like, oh, they're gonna be canceled. Like you just
Mm-hmm.
know, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that really existed that much before the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder. I know we stay away from political speak on stream, but I think we can get like semi-political when it comes to our podcast. Um, I do think the political state of the world right now has definitely led to cancel culture, because it. I feel like in the first time ever, maybe not ever in America, but in like recent history, it's once again been a clear divide on one specific person's actions between two groups. And I think it kind of led to what you were saying earlier, of that like people now have a voice and want to have a voice more now than ever before, because they now like they have strong opinions that they're very open about, and there's
Yes.
no more like holding anything back, it feels like.
Yeah. Which I
Yeah.
think it definitely has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody should be able to speak their voice and have it heard. But I mean, there's also an issue of like a very vocal minority as well. Um, like I don't know. This whole topic is like very difficult to talk about in only a few minutes.
Hmm.
Like there's so many intricacies to it. But I think you're right in terms of the political, just like how this world is going right now. Um, there were definitely people who would support one side or the other. I also think it's kind of a tragedy that really we only have two sides to pick from in America. Um, I mean, there's technically more, but no one's actually going to win in those other parties.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think it used to be a little bit less like if you supported one side or the other, you could still get along okay as human beings and still even be friends or like that was not as much of a focal point. Whereas now I feel like that's taking up so much of an identity of most people that if you're on opposite sides, it's very hard for you to deal with that person in all aspects of life,
Hmm.
which is kind of unfortunate. Like, yes, who runs the country? And this could also broaden more to the world as well. Like, I think this is happening in a lot of other places too. Um, there are like controversial leaders in a lot of other places as well. But it's just kind of what we know, I think a lot of people think way too much about politics right now.
Hmm.
And it's super important. And I think also there's a little bit of it that I'm very privileged because I'm like a white male. So whatever happens, I'll probably be okay in my day to day life.
Hmm.
Whereas other people, it will affect them a lot more directly. But also, like, if you're the type of person who's watching hours of news a day for whatever side, that's just not good for you, like your mental health.
Hmm.
Um, you need to also have a life outside of this huge concept of country politics. Um, it will affect your day to day when it comes down to it eventually. But like what's happening in your neighborhood or your town is usually a lot more important than the huge broad thing.
Hmm.
So that's kind of outside of cancel culture, though. Back to cancel culture,
Hmm.
um, I think I think it kind of is like a case by case basis thing for me.
Hmm.
It's really dependent on what that person or company does to where I'm like, oh, that makes sense that, people would boycott them because, yeah, that was really shitty what they did. But I do think this cancel culture, which would be broad, like this whole over the past few years, basically taking people or companies down, um, it can really. I think the con to it, the bad side to it, is that it really does stifle creativity.
Hmm.
I think, especially when it comes to like the comedy side of things,
Yeah.
where people's jobs are literally to like a stand-up comedian, they are supposed to push the edge on certain things. Sometimes they will definitely go too far, and again, that's kind of a case by case basis thing as well. But when it comes to humor, I think sometimes it can be funny to say something controversial, and it's funny because it is controversial, and doesn't necessarily warrant someone being canceled over it.
Hmm.
So it's a shame to me that we might not get certain content, and it's not only in humor. It's like even certain documentaries, if they take too much of one side or something like that, I just don't like that some of that content we're going to be missing out on because people are too afraid to kind of put it out there into the world.
Hmm.
But I think the good side of it is that people are a lot more aware of what does affect others, and do hear the voices of people who get offended and sometimes rightfully so from these things. So I think that's good as well. Like it's good to be a well-rounded individual who understands and can empathize with other people, even if they're not like you.
Hmm.
So it's a very tough topic, John.
It is.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on the whole state of politics as
Yeah.
of like right now. Is like an example is I'm you know this is that I'm a very non-confrontational person. Like I don't like conflict whatsoever. I'll stay out of fights. I'm like submissive. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. As long as we don't fight, like okay. But like the whole state of like the two polar opposite sides of politics right now has like given me more of a voice. Even if it's not talking about politics, it's more of like I'm starting to turn more into like a stand my ground, not confrontational, but like just standing for what I believe in more because of what's happening around the world too. Because it's like I feel like there are so many people that are like their opinions are pushed aside or aren't heard or what. So I think that's kind of definitely fed into like cancel culture of people aren't afraid of confrontation as much anymore. They're ready to speak their words and what they
Yeah.
believe and what they think is right and what they think is wrong. I think that's what it comes down to is people are people are very familiar with their moral compasses right now, more than any other time, I think,
Yeah.
because there is just so much debate on what is morally right to do and what is morally wrong to do.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, to be more in touch with your own moral compass.
no, no, it's not. But it's when two people or groups' moral compasses don't align almost at all.
Yeah.
That's when it like because then like it's like between two parties, is there a right thing to do? If no one agrees on what is morally right, then like is anything morally right? No, because the other side's always going to say,
Right. If you
well,
look at the
you
different
did that wrong.
perspectives, they'll be
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So like there's no
Well,
politically correct anymore because you're conflicting two sides that don't believe on and don't believe the same thing on anything.
yeah.
So anything you do is politically correct for one side and politically incorrect for the other side. So it's like it's a lose-lose win-win situation. I don't know what to call it. But
All right. So
yeah.
let me get a little more personal here. Um,
Get it.
and actually, so I'm definitely not going to use names. And I will tell you after this podcast who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because you know the people in this thing I'm about to bring up, and I don't think I
Okay.
brought this up to you before. So I have two friends, right? These two friends are better friends with each other than I am with either one of them. Okay.
This feels like a riddle. Like
It does. It's not a
like
riddle.
John
It's
sitting
not a
next
riddle.
to
It's
Casey,
just
who's
very
sitting across
hard.
from Joe.
It's very hard to like say it without using names.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I guess I could use fake names. Um.
I like the discreetness of it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So two friends. They know each other better than I know either one of them. They were childhood friends who grew up together. And basically, I became friends with each of them, but kind of separately. Like sometimes we would hang out with in a group of people, but really like I was friends with them individually. Okay. I was talking to one of these friends. I was texting with him. Um, they're both men. I'll use the him pronoun.
Okay.
That's not giving anything away really though, except I guess 50% of the world's population could not be these people. So maybe you'll guess it now. Um, so I was texting with one of them, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" We were talking about completely separate stuff, but I was just kind of checking in on him because it's a weird time right now, and I was seeing how he's doing. And he's like, "Yeah, everything's good on my end. Here's what's going on in my life. Oh, by the way, I am no longer talking to or associating myself with this other friend."
Okay.
So I was like, "Oh, that's a big deal because again, they were much better friends than I was with either one of them individually."
Wait, they said they're no longer associating with people who associate with that person?
Uh, I
Or did I take
guess
that one step too far? Okay.
actually yes as well because this was a whole
Okay.
friend group that he distanced himself from.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, this was big drama news in my circle of friends, obviously. So I
Yeah.
was like, well, what the hell happened? Like, I thought you guys were really good friends. He was like, well, uh, and this is kind of how it relates to what we've been talking about. Uh, he's like, well, he obviously has different political leanings than I do. And I was like, well, yeah, I know that. Like we've, and I agree with this friend that I was talking to much more than the other friend.
Hmm.
But I was like, yeah, that's clear. And he's like, well, I don't know if it's because of if it was Trump that was, and I'll get even a little more into it.
Oh,
I don't care.
you said his
Yeah,
name?
I can put my own opinion out there. If you don't like it, whatever. Um, he's like, I don't know if it's because Trump got elected or what, but he's a lot more vocal about some of his leanings,
Mhm.
and they're pretty upsetting to me, and also not something that I want to associate myself with at this point. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, yeah, I kind of understand that. Like, I've always known this other friend was, a conservative person who was kind of going to vote the Republican end. Um, and he was like, well, I was in a group chat with him and some of his friends as well. They were all kind of mutual friends. They're all leaning that way. And they started referring to black people as N words and as monkeys and kind of all these horrible things, right? And I would try to, uh, send them some articles and things like that to try to get them to see more on that side of, how you might empathize with someone who's not your same skin color and how you may not call them such derogatory terms. So they would then text this person and say, "Oh, X loves the blacks or loves the derogatory racial slur here."
Mhm.
And obviously he didn't want to associate himself with that. He was also saying he had been around people and his phone would go off and there would be these words on his phone screen, and he was actually in some instances around black friends that he had, and
Mhm.
obviously that is not a great word to see on your friend's phone screen. So basically he distanced himself. He told them he was going to leave the group message, blocked them on social media, that kind of stuff. So the
Wait,
reason,
he told them that that he was gonna do this?
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. That's wow. That's amazing.
So when you were talking about people being more in tune with their moral compass and being more vocal about it, and I
Mhm.
was saying in some ways that's a good thing. Um, you know, I also am going to be distancing myself from this other friend, knowing this news,
Hmm.
And you could take it as, oh, that's kind of a bad thing because you probably would have been friends had this not happened. But I also take it as, well, I really know what that person's like now. And even
Hmm.
if they weren't vocal about it before, I don't really want to be friends with a person who's like that underneath the surface, even if they're not vocal about it.
Hmm. Totally.
So it's tough. Um, it's tough.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with cancel culture. And I think, again, there's definitely two sides to it. It's not always appropriate for somebody to be canceled. Because at the same time, human beings are flawed. Human beings are not perfect. People will make mistakes. People can grow and learn, like the streamer you were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So it's kind of sad if somebody is canceled permanently if it was really not, if they could grow from it, and as long as it was not that bad, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a limit to the badness it can be
Yeah.
to have a temporary cancel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely made it very clear who to block and who not to block on social media sites like Facebook and stuff like that, and who to stop associating with, because I feel like this was their true self that I just had never gotten to see
Right.
in light before.
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice in that way. It's kind of refreshing to get people's real takes on what they really believe in so that you can align yourself with the people who believe in the same views as you. Or but like it's good to have
It's good
people
to be
who aren't.
rounded, for
It
sure.
is good, it is good, but
Yeah.
there is a point where it's like I don't want that in my life. That's just a bad influence. It's not it passes the point of we can have a good discussion about this.
Yes.
This is like a no, there's no way you're changing your mind. There's no way I'm changing. That's
Yeah.
and we can just leave it there.
That's happened a lot in my family as well.
Hmm.
Because I have portions of my family that lean one way and portions of my family that lean another. And for example, like my grandfather is like ultra conservative, like Republican, that kind of stuff. I used to really like having discussions with him about it. And I felt like it was actually good for both of us because he would make points sometimes where I'd be like, oh, that's actually not something that I'd thought about before. And like it would sometimes bring me a different direction on things, or at least would not have me so far one way.
Hmm.
But that has all changed in recent years. Um, really, the discussions with him when they're political, um, there's just nothing constructive about it at this point.
Mm-mm.
It's just very one side or the other. It makes us both upset. And it's like, I told him one day and I was like, look, I know we've done this like my whole life. And it was sometimes great to have these discussions with you and some of my most like treasured moments. But at this point now, we're clearly never going to bring up points that the other thinks are valid. And it's really kind of hurting our relationship. And this is my family member. It's not a friend that I'm going to distance myself from. Like, I love my grandfather. Um, he also doesn't have that much time left, unfortunately. I was like, let's just enjoy our time together and just not talk about that stuff. Let's talk
Hmm.
about stuff we both enjoy and both agree on and both want to talk about in a positive way.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. So there was one example I was thinking about of how much things have changed when it comes to cancel culture,
Yeah.
because So Deirdre and I, we have this habit of restarting The Office every time we finish it. So we're now on like our fifth watch through of The Office, and that show
Oh yeah.
would never exist in this decade. Never.
Yeah.
It has so many. I'm not even going to say borderline. Like it crosses the line
The
at a lot of
the
points.
episode where they write their races on their forehead and then they have to
Yes.
like do these
Stereotype.
stereotypes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's literally so many. There's at least two per episode that are like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. But like,
Yeah.
it didn't get any slack. Or I guess it got slack. I don't know how to say it. But it didn't get any backlash when it originally aired. Not that I can remember unless I'm forgetting stuff, but like it was like,
Yeah.
but people are okay with it now because they're just like,
I've heard
they're
it
okay
was a
with it still
product of its
being on
time.
Netflix.
Like that's
Yeah,
what I've heard about
okay.
a lot of these things. Um, See, that's a tough one, right? Because it's like that's kind of the comedy side that I was sort of bringing up before. Some of those episodes are just plain hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of them, even if the minority or whoever it was that was being made fun of was in that, I think they did find humor in it. There's almost like a good-natured offensive and a just offensive to be offensive thing. And then also at the same time, I think what happened years ago was people did not have the same voice. Like
Mm-hmm.
there and the people who were in power and running these things didn't find it offensive. So it just went on. And so I think like The Office is one thing, but like you could apply that to basically everything before the past 5 to 10 years. Like Disney used to be awful, like in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like racial things that they brought up or like against women or like, so it is interesting. And I think there is a portion of it that's good that they don't do that type of stuff anymore. So again, it's like this, it's hard. There's pros and cons to cancel cultures on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you're
But I
so
think
right.
ultimately, yeah. But I do think ultimately it comes down to like a case by case scenario
Yeah.
of like, and personal opinion too, because behind every cancel that happens, there's still going to be two sides.
Yeah.
There's going to be a side that's like, that's too harsh. And there's going to be another side that was like, that is rightfully so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's never going to be another event in history that every single person agrees on. That, like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing that ever happened. I really don't think so.
I'm trying to think if we conquer climate change. Oh, but wait, climate change wasn't real. Oh, you're right. You're right. I was like, that could be seen as a common good, but I was like, there. Never mind. There's a whole segment of the population that doesn't even believe in climate change.
And
So
then
you're
there'd be
right.
people that are
You're
like,
right.
no, I liked the earth warmer. Let's get that back. I'm like, hello. So
You're right.
there's never gonna be anything ever that.
Well, has there ever been anything that was really seen as completely good, or was it
I
just
mean,
that
no.
the majority of the voices that were talking about it that you could see in the mainstream thought it was good? I don't know.
I feel like we aren't a good
No,
group to ask about
we're
that.
both the same exact like least like every the most possible privilege, sex, like sexual orientation, race, everything. So we should
Mhm.
not. We are not the voices that should be speaking on this. But I think
No.
at least we acknowledge that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I also think since our age, is like on the lower side. We've had multiple ways of getting our information for long enough that we've gotten to form our own opinions.
Yeah.
Whereas like our grandparents, they weren't as over flooded with information
Right.
fed by other people. So like they weren't swayed as much as we're like. I feel like we're all just part of like a game of like the media is trying to pull people certain ways on certain topics. And
Yeah.
I think our grandparents were lucky to like they almost had more control over the like information that they actually got a hold of. So, but we
Well,
don't really live in a time where we can really have
but I
so
think in
much
some
control.
ways that flood of information, whether it be because we want it or not, I don't like in some ways I think that has made us more empathetic to others because we've been able to hear those other voices and see those other viewpoints. Um, I don't know, again, to set it more personal, I guess, because that's just like the easiest way for me to like exemplify some of these things. Um, for example, uh, we were talking about our grandparents. So my grandparents' generation, and at least my grandparents in particular, again, lean very conservatively.
Mhm.
Um, for a topic, let's say gay rights, right? I think many years ago, they were not in favor of gay marriage. They were probably pretty afraid of the gays taking over culture. Like, not, and in my opinion, a horrible way to think, but they were
Mhm.
kind of a product of their time again. Um, and they did not see the viewpoints of someone who was gay, and it did not affect their lives personally, so they had those views. Then uh, they had my mom. My mom got married to my dad, and then my parents got divorced when I was 2 years old because my dad came out as gay. At first, and this was again my grandparents on my mom's side. At first, they obviously were very upset because their daughter was kind of the byproduct of that, who is now a single mother, and that's hard just in itself. But then they were also upset because like that was seen as a kind of strange thing, and people didn't know as much about it.
Mhm.
But to my grandparents' credit, because that affected their lives personally, and they knew my dad and knew he was a good person, and then could start empathizing with him, they, even though they were conservative on like every single line down the board, they were for gay marriage and gay rights.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's a good thing because they got the viewpoint. And so if we get flooded with more and more viewpoints, maybe we're more accepting of other people as well. And
Mhm.
like, I just have tried so hard to relate that to them specifically because I'm like, all right, on these, like, economics is one thing, like, all these different policies are one thing, but on the social things, can you not see that, like, there's people that are different than you and they deserve every shot the same as we do? Like, can't you, like, things changed when you personally knew someone who was gay. Can't you just, like, imagine if you knew folks who grew up in a very hard household that were black, or folks who were not well off, or, folks of whatever? Like, can't you just extend that? And it's like, nope.
Nope.
But I think that shows the power of like getting information from other people who are not like us at all.
Mhm. Totally. So before we wrap up this topic, because I know that we have another one, and it's yeah. Tonight I streamed right before this.
Yes.
So someone random came in. This does relate to cancel culture.
Right. This was you almost getting canceled, right? Or
Yeah,
jury's out still?
it's still in question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fell victim to someone coming in, and they followed instantly. So I was like, cool, I'm excited. Cool. I'm going
Sure.
to read the first thing they say. I'm going to be interactive.
Oh no.
Oh, they sent a message. In Twitch's defense, it was flagged. I hit allow because all I saw was that it said it was saying that, one of your friends apparently, and then said the name, and then was like, oh, sent me to your stream, and I didn't like read the name because that's what I do in books anyways. I just skim over names and
Hmm.
call them like SC for like Santa Claus or something.
Might not do
uh
that anymore.
yeah, I'm not going to do
On
that
Twitch
anymore. I'm
chat.
going to read every single name.
Yeah.
And so it said your friend Nick and another last name. It's a type of fish, like has a long mouth. It's like a gar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those two together, and I said them relatively fast, kind of like Mike Hawk, one of those kind of string them together things.
Mm.
And instantly, the whole chat was like, no, 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 stop, no, no. And honestly, my ignorance and like my innocence, it didn't click until the rest of the people were saying something about it.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. It was just it was a traumatic.
Yeah. So obviously that's a traumatic event for you, but I guess again, I'm a white male, so my opinion is it doesn't really matter, but I think a lot of this stuff is about your intention and
Right.
um like getting tricked into saying something when you're not actually meaning to say it is very different than purposely saying the term.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
But it still is nothing I ever wanted to come out of my to sound even remotely like what they intended for me to say.
Yeah.
So it was just like the fact that I was even relatively close to saying something that could insult someone or like just I
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just nothing I ever wanted to be even close to
Right. How do you
saying,
how do you
thinking.
feel about singing song lyrics?
Wow. Okay. I was talking about this actually the other day. Um I personally don't sing them.
Uh-huh.
So like I will literally do the radio just like a pause, like
Yeah.
a yeah, like as though it's bleeped out. But I don't think, as long as it's not like hard, then like I think it's okay if you're like in the moment of the song and you just like
Yeah, that's kind
say
of
it.
an intention thing as well, right? You're not
Yeah.
using it for that term.
Yeah. And it's like neither is the artist, and like I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. God, I hope I don't get canceled. Um, I will say that when I was younger, uh, I did say it when I was singing.
Hmm.
I think one is that I was kind of immature and just unaware of the effect that word can have. And two, like, yeah, I think I've just learned now, and like now I feel differently about it.
Hmm.
But then there's also been some artists who are black that will say like, if you're singing my song, like I'm okay with you singing it as I wrote it.
Hmm.
But I also know it's not okay to say that word normally.
Hmm.
So I don't know why it's different in a song. So now I personally don't do it. But I did do it in the past. And I don't necessarily, instantly think someone should be canceled or, think poorly upon that person if they use that term, even if they're not a person of color.
Hmm.
But again, it doesn't offend me personally. So it's hard, my opinion is not the same as someone who that would actually be used against. So,
Yeah. So the whole thing with me and like you saying the artist saying, I'm okay if you do it,
yeah.
because I give you permission, basically. And it's like, I side on the side that says, like, if it has the chance of impacting one person poorly, because there are other people of color that wouldn't be okay with it,
Right.
even if the artist said it was. So it's like, I'm going to side with, I'm going to do whatever I can to be as respectful as possible to everyone. I don't care what the artist says. It's about everyone else
Yeah.
that it could impact, because I know that there's going to be the whole other side that's like, we'll just say it. Like we said it in the 20s and the 30s. Like it's just a
Yeah.
word.
That's not the same
You
thing.
can say
Yeah.
it. I know. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to do it very happily. I'm good not saying it because you want me to say it.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I side on, I don't care who tells me if it's okay or not. It's like, I'm going to be respectful to anybody that it could impact.
Yeah. I think in general, it's good to be respectful. And like, certainly when it comes to things like that, I'm 100% on your side. Um, but also, just because someone's offended by something, I don't think that always necessarily means it's wrong. In this case, I do think it's wrong. Like
Okay.
use of the N word, I think is wrong in all cases, basically, except if you're a person of color who, that's their word. Basically, they can use it how they see fit, I guess. Um, but just because I offend you by saying an opinion or something like that, when it's outside of like anything derogatory or something like that, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily, because I offended you with something I said besides a derogatory term, I don't think that necessarily makes it wrong inherently. Like, I don't always need to apologize for offending.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do you
yeah.
agree with that?
Yeah, because you can't make everyone happy in every situation you're ever.
Right.
Kind of like what we were saying before. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Okay.
But I lean towards trying to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
like anybody that knows us would agree that like we try as much as we can to be inclusive of all different kinds of people and be nice to them, and our general like just mannerisms are optimistic and friendly and wanting to have a good time versus be
Hmm.
negative.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like not everything is deserving of being canceled or like saying, needing to apologize or that kind of stuff.
For sure. Totally agree.
So, all right, should we move from one controversial topic to the next one?
Sure. Sorry. Sure. I have a lot less to say about this one, probably.
Okay.
Um, but
So, just as a
well, can you
reminder,
repeat it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just as a reminder, how we feel about children used in content creation.
So I want to make a clarification first before we get into it. Is this more of a question of how do we feel about like an individual using a child as um entertainment, or are we talking about the companies themselves allowing the children to be part of the entertainment?
I think, I guess you could talk about either side. My thought was more on uh, the parents allowing this to happen or doing it themselves. I was thinking more, I guess you could talk about like child actors or things like that. My brain instantly went to like family vlogs and those types of things.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um
But maybe I don't know. I mean, again, the John asked the question. It was not really more specific than that in Discord, so we could take it however we'd like to take it.
okay. Um I hmm.
Just knowing us, I feel like the internet content stuff would be more the content creation. I believe when he's bringing it up, I wouldn't think it'd be like child actors in a movie type of thing.
Well,
But I could be wrong.
my mind kind of jumped to like, is it okay for TikTok to be basically advertising their website with younger people in their ads that are like
Hmm.
13, 14, doing their like dances and whatnot?
I think
Like is
let's just
that
get into it. Let's just start talking about it.
okay?
We can
Okay.
go
Okay.
whatever direction we want to go.
Okay. Yeah, so that's where my brain jumped to first, was like, is it okay for larger platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram to like um support content creation by younger people, like children? Like 13 is still a child to me, even though a 13-year
Well,
old
by
can
definition, I think they are a child. Yes.
even though the 13-year-olds might not think so, because they're,
Right.
I don't know, they think they're adults. But I don't really know where I was going with that. Um,
Okay, so this just opened up a whole other can of worms to
okay,
me than what I was
okay,
thinking. But
okay.
let's go with this, and then we can talk about more of what I was thinking. Um, so I've used TikTok a lot more than you. And God, John's gonna give me such a hard time because he's gonna be like, Ryan's talking about TikTok again, but you brought it up. Uh,
I did.
so so there's like the there's one side of this where it's like children wanting to do this themselves and
Mm-hmm.
put out this content. Um, and then there's a whole other side of parents encouraging this or using their children. And I think let's first talk about children wanting to do this themselves and putting out the content themselves. And then we can kind of move on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the very, very disturbing side of it, I think, is when these children are basically performing uh, semi-sexual. Obviously they're clothed. Yeah,
Provocative, like,
that's what I was. Yeah, I was trying to
yeah.
find that word basically.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think that is particularly disturbing. Um, One, because they don't really know what they're doing at this point. Um, they think that they're okay with it and they like the attention from it. Um, they want to be famous, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's also like this very dark behind the scenes of that, of who is viewing them, and the internet can get sick. Um, like there are, and we know this because they have been found out before. There are like whole communities of just pedophiles trying to share this type of content with each other and
Hmm.
looking for this content and that kind of stuff. So it's very concerning to me that it's now going to a level of like these children are putting this out freely, like they're like wanting this content to be out there. Um,
Hmm.
so I think the sexual nature of it we could probably agree on is just not good at their age, right? So
Hmm.
maybe
Oh yeah, yeah.
we could talk more about more, I don't know if normal is the right word, but more like PG rated content versus the provocative stuff.
Okay.
So how do you feel about like that type of content?
So I kind of in my mind, when you talk about that content, well, you said family vlogging before, something
Yeah.
that like I think of like Ronan Atwood. Do
Uh-huh.
you know him?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, him and his family, they've been vlogging for like 5, 6, 7 years now or something. Just like everyone knows everything about his family, basically.
Mhm.
But I think, are you honing more in on parents filming their kids as the content creation, or are you talking about just like families filming too much of their lives type of thing?
Yeah, well let's talk about again the kid side first.
I
Let's
feel like I have more questions than answers in this category.
let's talk about the kids side first. The kids posting it themselves on TikTok. Non provocative
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, if it's non-provocative, then it's just kids posting. Like I posted on Instagram as a kid, like,
Mhm.
but I know the world is a very different place now too than when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more scary. But I would probably limit my own children's social media until like a good age. Like probably more than most other parents would of our generation, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's safe anymore. Nor was it safe when we were kids either, but it seems a lot less safe. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. First off, neither of us actually have kids. So
Yes.
our views may change once we do. Um,
Yes.
besides our cute dogs, which we'll use and abuse for any kind of social media popularity. So, um, yeah, I think, they are their own people, even though they're not fully grown. So they're going to have their own wants and desires. I think the thing that is very hard for them to understand is that even though the fame and like popularity and getting more likes and getting more follows seems very appealing, it can also have a very negative side too, especially like when you're still developing. Um, and I think maybe that will lead more to the kind of parents being involved in this. Um, I personally think, and there's levels to this, of course. Like I think the Roman Atwood family vlogging, I think is probably, and I don't know much about Roman Atwood, so I'm not the greatest in terms of like comparing things. But I think the family vlogging where it's about their lives in general, I personally would never do that. But I think that's a little different versus there are some quote unquote family vlogs that focus primarily on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can be very detrimental to a child's upbringing. Because I think, for one, like they just have no privacy. Like some of these channels are daily vlogs that are literally showing the kid growing up completely. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
when I was like a teenager or younger, like there were very awkward times and like I wasn't very comfortable with myself, and like that being on display for millions of people um, would do a lot against my mental health, I feel like. Um,
Mhm.
and so I feel like children need just like a safe space to grow. Um, and so it's very weird to put them on display constantly. Uh,
Mhm.
then on top of just people seeing it, they comment, and seeing comments about you uh, can be damaging to anyone, like even people our age or above. But I think can be especially damaging to people that I think what the younger you are, the less comfortable you are with yourself. And
Mhm.
so other people's opinions about you have a much greater effect. Um, and like I just so much about like frequent just showing your child growing up, I think is wrong. I think also like what kind of relationship is that in terms of the parent child relationship? Like do you feel like you're a part of this parent's show versus them actually being your parent? Like
Mhm.
some of these parents will like scold their kids or give them punishments or stuff in front of the camera. Like that is not appropriate to me. Like
Mhm.
you should have a relationship with your kid outside of the public eye. So I am very against those types of children, like the content creation around children.
Mhm.
If it's a family vlog, like showing the child's face while you guys are at like an amusement park, I think that's more of like a gray area. I'm personally a big fan of how like Casey Neistat does it, where it really doesn't show his daughters much at all. Like it's either like the back of their head or whatever. You can still get a sense of what they're doing together and their kind of interaction, but it's not focused on them.
Mhm.
And I think he had shown his previous kid quite a bit, but it was because his previous kid was older and he was able to consent to it and completely understand what it entailed and that type of stuff. So I think
Mhm.
when they're a certain age where they really just can't comprehend what's happening, it can be very, very bad.
Yeah, so have you seen The Social Dilemma on
No,
Netflix?
I saw it advertised on Netflix, but I haven't actually watched it. No.
This kind of bleeds into it where they're basically talking about the whole dilemma that social networking has had on it's the youth as well as the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But they do talk a lot about the increase in suicide rates in children
Mm-hmm.
who have posted on social media and have not gotten the feedback responses that they had hoped for,
Gosh.
that it
Yeah.
actually lowered their like what's it called,
Self
their
esteem.
esteem,
Yeah.
self-esteem, yeah, to the point of thinking that life isn't worth living anymore.
Oh.
And it's so sad to think of, and it was like they gave perfect examples that like even I did as a kid. Like if I posted a photo and it didn't get the amount of likes that I thought it would, I would like delete it so that it wasn't there anymore, so people couldn't see that it wasn't liked.
Mm.
And like that hit home so much because like kids literally do that all the time now. Like that's what they were relating to of like not enough people responded to my Snapchat, so I'm gonna delete it and take another one.
Yeah.
That it's like, wow, it's so sad. It's so sad that you're literally giving your worth, you're putting your worth into the hands of other people
Right.
and how
That's a great
they
way to
react to it and stuff.
That was a great way to phrase it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, but
Uh,
don't take that into too much of your own worth. Like
oh
just
no
yeah.
no 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 no. I have all my worth right here. It's really
Yeah.
small, but it's something. No.
Well, I think so like this actually could be brought like some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. Social media is great in that we now see others' opinions and views and can hear their voices, social media is also horrible because we can now see others' opinions, views, and voices.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's tough when I've read a decent amount of like stuff on like happiness and uh like the way to live your life in terms of being content and okay with yourself type of thing. And
Hmm.
it's like every research, all the research that has been done around that, it's like the exact opposite of what social media gives us. Your relationships with people are so important, but the social media relationships you have are not true interpersonal relationships.
Hmm.
Getting 300 likes on a picture is not the same thing as having four really good friends.
Hmm.
So it's interesting, like what it's teaching kids as they grow up. Like they should not value more numbers on their post. They should value the amount of people around them that are really truly close friends to them, even if that's a small number.
Hmm.
And I think just like growing up in that, like we did have forms of social media when we were growing up personally, but it was not as extreme as now. And I just can't imagine like I wonder how I would have developed if it was like if I was growing up now, because
Hmm.
it is strange. I have a sister who's 14, so she's kind of in the thick of it all, and it's been interesting seeing her develop and like become the person who she is, because she definitely cares about certain things on social media a lot more than I do, but she also does value like close friends that come over and they actually interact in person and things like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I bet not every kid does. And yeah, it's odd.
Hmm.
It's a dilemma.
It is a dilemma, the social dilemma.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean the phrase that kind of came to my mind as you were explaining that was quality over quantity. Like it doesn't matter how many friends you have on Facebook. It
Right.
is literally like, do you have any quality friends that like you can actually reach out to and talk to when you're having like a tough day or something? Like that's what matters more in your long term life than a number on a screen
Yeah.
that other people can see.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting because sometimes the most like quote unquote famous or quote unquote popular people are like the loneliest,
Hmm.
because they don't have many other people that they can relate to experientially, what blah, blah, blah. Like in terms of their experiences and what they go through and those types of things. And they can't really trust people as much because they don't know like if people are actually liking them for them or if they're just liking them for their clout type of thing.
Hmm.
So it's weird that the more popular you get on social media, the less interpersonal relationships you might actually have, and it might get harder for you on that basis.
True. Yeah, you should hold off being famous until you have a quality like friend group before. But like honestly,
It's kind
like
of true,
it is.
and even like people who like are married before they get famous, um, a lot of times that will stay, right? Like
Hmm.
that'll be a strong relationship that they always have because they actually connected as people and not just, being ultra popular. Whereas like a lot of the celebrities or people you see who like marry someone who's also kind of at their status or something, like those usually don't last as long,
Hmm.
because they're dealing with so many other things. So yeah, it's true. I mean, it would be hard to trust people and really know that they're there just for you as a person if you have all this other stuff along with you.
Totally agree.
I mean, it wouldn't be bad to be rich as hell. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not like, oh, these people have the worst lives. But in terms of that aspect of life, it would be kind of hard at that point.
But I think honestly, at the point that we are, like, we have really good friends.
Yeah.
Like we have friends who we know genuinely love us and will love us in any form that our life turns into, or
Right.
anything like that. So it's like it would be a different story if I were alone and rich and trying to like figure out who was there for me.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
So yeah, we can take our money now. Like we're
Right.
we're good. We're in a good place to take our money. So
Yeah.
whenever someone's willing to pay up, we're good. We'll be good.
Yeah. Join our OnlyFans. No. Um,
um
yeah. I mean, on my end, like, yes, we have really amazing friends, and like obviously, like you and me were super close. It's a little tough for me because I don't really have many good friends like the relationships you know of near me,
mhm,
unfortunately. And that, like, we were talking about social media, like even our internet relationship and texting and all that kind of stuff, it works pretty well. I mean, we really do a lot of it, so I think it's even better than a lot of people. Um, but it's not the same as like when we were in college and we were all together in person. Um,
yeah,
so it just goes to show you that social media and technology and all that kind of stuff, it is great for keeping certain connections, but it's not the same as just sitting on a couch next to each other and just having a good time.
true that.
Yeah.
True that.
So
So, talking about quality over quantity.
yeah.
Um somebody made a really good point in stream tonight that they had said 100 viewers or 100 followers and you average 13 to 15 viewers. Like that's kind of insane. And I was thinking about that cuz like even your case is like you have almost 70 followers and you average around like 10 viewers, 9, 10, 8 to
Uh,
10.
I think over the past 30 days, it's like 8.
Yeah.
But like recently it's been more, I think. Yeah.
So like I think about the communities that both of us are building it to bring all this back to like the gaming Twitch realm is like I think our community is better than most other communities on Twitch when it comes to like the ratio of the amount of people that consistently show up
Yeah.
to how many followers we have. Because I personally, whenever I'm done, I try to raid someone who I think is relatively my same size, aka they have the same amount of viewers that I currently have at that moment. And like I'll raid them and they have like 2K followers
Oh, I've
with
seen that
like
all the time.
10 viewers.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
almost
like,
wonder like what would happen 2 years from now. But yeah. I
I know, I'm kind of curious as to like, does that ratio stay? Like,
I don't know.
like, or does it fade just like it did with these other people that I'm actually rating? Like, what does the future look like in terms of like, what can you expect as
Yeah.
the future? Can you just scale things up? Or is there like this normal trend of a Twitch streamer
I don't know.
of
Yeah, I
like,
don't know. I think like some of it has to do with like the way we like to communicate with people, and like we
mhm,
do take a genuine interest in the people chatting with us. Like, like, we also like hang out with them offline in our discords and things like that. Um, but I think like this could also be the other point where if you continue to grow, I think we've talked about this a little bit as well. Um, you would kind of lose that, right? Like it becomes impossible to get to know, like, if all 2000 of that person's followers were in their chat, there's no way they'd be able to interact on the same level as when
Hmm.
there's only 15 people in the chat.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see where things go. And it's like, also, if we do gain more viewers, right? Maybe we get to an average of 50. Like, I will always, like, the people now will hold a special place in my heart, no matter how big I get, type of thing. Because it was like
Hmm.
they were interested in me before, like, I got more and more popular, type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
But then, like, do you feel like you would feel guilty knowing that, like, you see their chat fly by and you're not able to read it because 30 other just came through that same second? Like,
I think I would feel a little guilty. At the same time, I would hope that they would not be offended. I mean, they might be a little bit sad, but I would also hope that they would be happy for me in terms of, like, they care about me and want me to grow and succeed and that type of stuff.
mhm.
Um, and I would still try my damnedest to interact with them in some sort of way. But that does just eventually become impossible, unfortunately. Like, the people who have 10,000 average viewers, like, there's just no way to have a relationship. Like, you would not have any kind of personal life outside of these things at all if you were
Mhm.
constantly trying to message people and see how they're doing and interact with them, which is my favorite part of it right now.
Mhm.
Um, well, it's like I was saying, it's like the more famous you get, the more hard it is to have, like, interpersonal relationships that really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I ever reach 50 followers and get, or 50 viewers
Hmm.
average, and it gets to that point, I'm just going to create an alt account. And then when that one reaches 50 viewers, I'm just going to make an alt account.
You
But
could do
I'll
that.
only tell the original 20 that
Yeah,
I'm going to keep creating it. So they're the ones that
that's
slowly
funny.
follow. That'd be
Well,
fun.
I guess you could do, like, I don't know, like specific streams where it's like, um, or somehow, like, maybe it's like a Discord stream or something where it's like just to the core base. Um,
Or what if, oh my God, that'd be so cool. Sorry. If, like, a huge Discord
yeah.
of a huge streamer, like, what if you just picked 5 random people a week to do a 5-person Discord call
Oh, you could definitely do
and
that.
just, like, get to know them?
Yeah, that'd be
That would
cool.
be sick.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, I would do that. That's
That's a
calling
good
it.
idea.
Dibs.
I can't do that same thing.
No, you can. You can.
Fine, I'm gonna pick 3 people so I can get to know them even better.
No. Okay.
Each person will have
Fair.
more time to talk.
I just think that would be so cool because, like, one, you get to put a face to a name. Like I miss that about Twitch, honestly. Like, I know your name. Like, I know your Twitch name. That's like,
Right.
and I might know your real name. But, like, I want to get to, like, actually know the people behind the names too.
Yeah. Some
I
people
don't know.
may not want to do that as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just have a bot in there or something that says exclamation point enroll, and then they can enroll in the Discord.
Yeah.
Rando. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. That sounds fun.
It's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
Shoot, I might already start doing that. I'll just pick like one random person. Maybe I'll pick you. And then we can film a podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait.
Let's call it the Little
start
Kings.
a podcast.
Well, that got meta.
Anyways. Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, I think with that, we're at an hour and a half.
Are you kidding me?
No, we've done like 3 topics, but we're at an hour and a half.
Where did time go?
I don't know, man. We got into it. There was a lot. Just those couple of topics that John brought up, like they had so many different avenues, and I still feel like we barely got past surface level. Which also, like, that makes me think, you know, going back a little bit to politics, these people have to have such a breadth of knowledge on every single topic imaginable. And if they don't, they call in experts who testify and they ask them questions, and they can only talk for like 8 hours about a certain subject at the most. And that's like for the most important thing they ever sign. It's impossible. Like, no one's going to have enough knowledge to vote on these policies. So, like, I understand why politics is so fucked. Like, yeah. I mean, like, we just did an hour and a half podcast, basically 45 minutes probably on each topic, and, like, didn't even touch it as much as we probably should have.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like our founding fathers just didn't expect all this to get so complicated. Like,
yeah, life was simpler back then for sure.
Life was, you know?
Yeah.
Washington chopped down his cherry tree, and that was about all that happened that day. And
yeah. I mean, probably he might have had his slaves do it, but that's a whole other side of the conversation.
True.
Washington would be canceled nowadays.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, a lot of people.
All the founding fathers, really.
All of them, yes. The country wouldn't exist. The world would probably be canceled.
The world would be canceled. There's some aliens that are watching these radio frequencies right now that are just like, oh, those humans. Never letting them become big. If they ever make it outside of their solar system, they're canceled.
Dude, so speaking of aliens.
Oh,
I mean, do you have 15 more minutes?
I mean, I've got nothing but time.
Okay, cool. Speaking of aliens.
Yeah.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
They just launched 60 more satellites into the orbit
the
other day. And I don't know if you saw, but they announced that the Starlink network is going to be out in beta soon.
Awesome.
Which is like my dream.
Which is like Wi-Fi across the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's technically free or like a sign-up service, like AT&T or
I wouldn't think it would be free.
Well, so Elon's master plan behind all this is to get internet into like rural areas.
Right. Maybe it'd be free for those people.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Elon's crazy. I don't know what he'll.
Yeah. He's definitely crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like my dream, because this is my image of like, John's gonna hate me for this, Stadia. This is like internet anywhere I want, high speed to play games anywhere I want.
We spent way too much time talking about Stadia on one of our podcasts. We cannot.
We're not talking
filled
about
our
it.
quota for
We're
like
not
50
talking
episodes.
about it.
Okay.
We're not talking about it. We're talking about Starlink.
Okay.
Stadia just happened to come up.
Okay.
But yeah, I signed up. I signed up for the beta. I'm not gonna guarantee get it, but I signed up for it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, I wonder. Do they say anything about speeds?
there were initial speed runs coming out, and with their current setup, it was something like 50 megabits per second up and down or something.
Would that go down as more people get onto it? Like, is the bandwidth limited?
I don't know about that. But they said it would increase as more satellites went up.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But as of right now, they're like, I guess they're only focusing on like southern Canada and northern United States right now in terms of like North America.
I guess, why is that so appealing to you personally, other than conceptually? Because, like, I totally get it for parts of the world that do not have a stable internet connection. But, like, your cellular data must be that faster or even faster, right?
I don't think it's 50.
Really?
Yeah. Like I think I get like 15
Are you
download
on
and 5
4G?
up or something. 5G.
It's not.
4G.
5G doesn't
4G.
exist right now.
4G. It does. It does in Atlanta. Fight me.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a
All right.
MKBHD.
Yeah, so you're right. You're right. There's certain small areas that have true 5G, but AT&T's 5G is not 5G. They're faking it.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I'm just excited for it. It's a new way of living.
it's a new way of living. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like it's going to be a new form of technology that I'm just excited for. I do like the intentions behind it too.
Right.
Like even
In
if I
terms of bringing it to
pay,
other countries, you're saying?
yeah, even if I pay and it's supporting a larger cause of, supporting the more rural
Oh,
areas of the
I totally
world.
am with you on that. Yeah.
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 And I mean that's kind of why like that was a big selling point of getting an electric car from Tesla too, was that like I felt like their intentions were right behind why they were building electric cars, because no one had built a cool electric car that anybody wanted before.
Right.
To now
Absolutely.
know that they're making the largest impact to the carbon our carbon footprint, it's like I'll support that shit.
Definitely. I agree. Did you hear about the other space news that was pretty recent
No.
about Mars?
No.
It was like maybe a little over a week ago.
Mm-mm.
So they found, yeah, we were able to. So a couple years ago, there were scientists that thought they had discovered basically a large saltwater lake under Mars' surface. It's no longer a lake, but it's like, the presence of that water basically. Now they're able to confirm that, and they found 3 more lakes.
Hmm.
And basically, that whole system shows that there was probably the ability for some type of life on Mars to have existed.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be like life like you or me,
Yeah.
but it'd be like, maybe some type of organism that could have been on that surface, which would be really cool.
That's the start.
Yeah.
That's that's where we started. It was
Yeah.
just a little organism, so
Yeah. Have you ever
that's
seen,
exciting.
do you know the YouTube channel? Oh God, the pronunciation of it is so difficult. It's like Kurzagats
Mm-mm.
in a nutshell. Oh,
No.
it's a really, you should check out this YouTube channel. Everybody listening to this. It's a cool channel. They do different scientific videos basically about all different types of areas. Like I literally watched one today that was about milk, and like if it's good or bad for us, and that type of thing. But they're these beautifully animated videos that go in depth about a specific topic. And it's like the art style is really, really cool. And the narration is really good. It's just amazing. I definitely recommend it. I actually ordered, they have a calendar that they make every year, and like a bunch of other different merch that they have. And that's like one of the better ways to support them. So I did that today because I just love them so much.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I was watching a video. You brought up like how we used to be like these, one to multicell organisms, and then we kind of grew and grew and grew. So this was a video about basically other space civilizations, and if they might exist and how we might be able to find them. And it basically classified, and I forget the name of the scale, but there's a scale of like types of civilizations. And we are between 0 and 1 on a 5-point scale right now, we as humans. We basically have developed on our own planet, can sort of change the shape and energy used on our planet, but we have not yet been able to use other planets' resources or go outside of our own planet, besides like just stepping foot on the moon. So we can't use the energy anywhere else outside of our own planet. We can't use the sun's energy, nothing like that. So then that's 0 to 1. 1 to 2 is, as you might expect, using the planets within your own solar system and using your own star. Then there's 2 to 3, which is using the resources within your own galaxy. And then there's 3 to 4, which is using a subset of galaxies. And then there's 4 to 5, which is like using a large amount of galaxies, perhaps universe or universes. Which, by the way, did you know that there could be potentially multiple universes? That's a whole other topic.
No.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because I was like, well, we're so advanced compared to, like what we're talking about, these like unicellular organisms. But really, if you think about it, if we're going to be explorers and like our nature is to do that, right? Like we conquer one area and then we want to move on to another area. And that's all been within our own planet so far, but eventually it'll lead outwards. We're like nothing on that scale. And then they were also saying there's probably nothing that's like at level 3 or above because they would have messed with us at this point, probably.
Huh.
So that's either like could be seen as a good or a bad thing. Like it's good in that like we're kind of in control of our own destinies, and probably won't get instantly killed by some other organization just to use for energy. But at the same time, that's kind of depressing because it's like we got to do all this shit ourselves. There's probably not going to be somebody else that finds us at this point. Yeah. So it was it was a really interesting video, and I definitely recommend that channel. They take I think they said a typical video is 1,200 hours worth of work.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So say a level 4.
Yeah.
Stumbles upon us.
Yeah.
Decides not to use us as energy.
Yeah.
But instead shares their knowledge with us to be 4s together. We can jump from a 1 to a 4. Just like that.
That's fairly possible. Again, I don't think there would be any 4s in existence because they probably would have already found us.
But the universe is big.
Yeah, but the level 4 is specifically like multiple clusters of galaxies. Like it's like, yeah, it's like almost.
What if they're just one galaxy too far?
Yeah, that's possible.
When you're like, I could walk 3 blocks, but my friend's 4 blocks away, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, that's possible.
Not walk.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. I don't know. It's also like so hard for us to comprehend what beings would be like that. Like, what are they even like at that point? Sorry. So they also said it's very unlikely there's anything over a 3 because whether intentional or unintentional, there would be some sort of signs like radio waves or some sort of thing that comes within our observable radius. Like, we're able to see pretty damn far,
Mm-hmm.
not that far in terms of the grand scale of the universe, but like if they were at that level, they'd probably be producing something that we would be able to observe.
What if we don't have the equipment to observe it, though?
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, it's hard to
Because
know what we don't know.
bingo.
Yeah. That would be pretty awesome. Like, would that stuff be teachable, though? Or would it just be so far past our mind's comprehension?
I think we're an adaptable.
We're adaptable for our classification of things. Like, yeah, we're a hell of a lot more adaptable than our dogs.
I think if our bodies could physically handle the travel that they entail, that like I think we're adaptable enough to the point that we could learn how their technology works. Maybe.
Are we? Because like,
This
usually
is
the way
deep.
we like make these types of innovations and things like that, it's a big collective use of knowledge, right? Like, it's, for example, SpaceX. Just a simple thing is building a rocket. You have somebody who has a ton of knowledge about one specific piece of that rocket,
Mhm.
right? And then they all kind of work together. Transfer of knowledge to one individual or groups of individuals would take, I think, a very long time when it comes to something that complex.
But I guess think about the first couple rockets that SpaceX built. It was like the first one took 6 months.
Yeah.
The next one took 4 months. The next one took 3 months. It's like they transferred knowledge onto other people, I would guess, to like make the process finer, do the
Yeah.
process faster, and then ultimately, like, they haven't had a failed rocket in how long? Like, they're
Right.
doing it pretty efficiently and quickly at this point.
Right.
So it's
We can
like,
definitely get more efficient. I guess I'm just thinking, since they are so far above and beyond any technologies that we've ever developed, I just think that initial knowledge transfer would be quite the feat. Like, it would be very difficult for us to be able to understand the complexities of their technologies. It almost be like, you know how I've kind of brought this up before in a Sporn stream. Like, it'd be like trying to teach Pac-Man what it's like to exist in 3 dimensions, right? Pac-Man is a 2-dimensional being. It knows how to go up, down, left, right, collect the little pellets. But really, like, it would have no idea what the world would be like if it could expand above to the 3rd dimension.
mhm.
And like, I just feel like it be like us. We have no comprehension of a 4th dimension. It could exist, but we're not able to observe it or understand it with our minds because we're 3-dimensional creatures. So I'm just wondering if the technologies and things developed by these civilizations that are way more advanced than us, I don't know if we would be able to understand it. We might, but I'm just saying I'm not 100% confident that we'd have the ability as humans to do it.
I have the confidence
Okay.
that us as humans would be able to do it.
I know I personally would not be able to do it.
I think, look, I think if they wrote down like a nice step by step in
This is even
English,
just getting past the language barrier, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah.
Google Translate will be on it like so quick.
They might not even make sounds, right? Like
Mm,
all of our communication is oral and like auditory or written. What if they're just like telepathic?
we have stuff for that.
Like what if they come to us, they're not, there's some kind of humanoid form to make it easier, and they're just like
I
what are
think
we
we
going
can
to do
do
with
it.
that?
I think we can do it. I really do.
Okay.
I think AI is good.
Yeah, I think more than likely, if there's that type of civilization that comes upon us, they would not care about us at all.
Do you think they'd be more scared of us than we're
Absolutely
scared of
not.
them?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Are you kidding?
What if they just what if they assumed that we were a level 4 and they're a level 3?
They
Like they
would
don't
know we're
know.
not. What?
They don't know. How would they know?
Because we're stuck on our one planet?
Oh my if, yeah,
Yeah.
touche. Touche.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I don't know.
But what if we could outsmart them?
We can't. If they're a multi-galaxy being, how could
Yeah.
we possibly outsmart them?
They might be street smart, but we're book smart.
I think it'd be the opposite. I
I
don't know.
They might be book smart and we would be street smart.
Their technology would probably be able to vaporize us in a second. If they're harvesting the power of stars, how would we fight back against that?
Our
They
brains.
also have ways to think. Listen, I'm all for Team Human. I'd try. But I'm
Look,
just saying I'm not optimistic about our chances.
I what if wow, this went
we
really
should
past
we should
15 minutes.
we should definitely start a segment of our podcast where we just talk about stuff that's so out of our realm of understanding that it just becomes gibberish, because I feel like that's what's happening right now. Like we both know nothing about this topics and we're just
This
ahead.
is so much gibberish that an alien could understand it because we're basically speaking their language. Um I think what if
Uh-huh.
this level 4 was just given their technology, they learned how to use it, but they didn't understand it.
They wouldn't, I don't think they'd be a level 4 then.
Why?
Because it's more about the civilization itself being able to develop all those things and expand upon it. I guess they'd be stuck at level 4. But I think most levels 4s would get there themselves and then be able to expand upon that even more.
I like the way I think about it is that like what if another level 4 on their way to 5 stumbled upon this lower level civilization and gave them a fish instead of teaching them how to fish?
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
I gotcha. And then
Yeah.
that is the one that found us?
Yeah.
They'd still have the technology that's above us, though, right?
But we have big brains.
We'd have more of a fighting chance than if they were a true level 4, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Valid. That's all I wanted to hear.
But also,
That's all I
like,
wanted.
just think, like, level 4 or even, like, let's say level 5, right?
Yeah.
Level 5 may be at the level that it can create a universe. We may be the product of a level 5's experiment, right?
Then we're safe.
It'd be like when we play a video game, right?
Yeah.
And we create a Sims world, okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We're the Sims right now.
Mhm.
That level 5 can go delete that save file, and we'd just be we would have no concept of what happened at all. And if they're the type that can create or destroy universes, like, you just have no idea what that's like. You're not even close to the perspective of that being.
We're their little baby. Look. Like,
You know
they're
how horrible people are to their Sims?
I think we're more important to them than Sims.
How do you
I
know?
think I think we're maybe
You're,
like a third stepchild removed, but like I don't think we're at the Sims level.
I think you're giving. I think you're putting way too much weight on your own self-importance when it comes to the scale of these things.
I'm important.
You're like,
I'm 1 in 7 billion, baby.
yeah, that's not important at all. And then think about even larger scale than that. Think about the entire universe.
You're just pissing me off. I'm important and I know it. My mom told me
You're
so.
important to me. So that's good.
Wish I could
But
say
I'm just saying, like, in the overall universe, you're not important. None of us are.
If we're an experiment, then we're important. There has to be a
were all
reason
of
for
your
the
experiments that you've done important?
Absolutely.
I had some very unimportant experiments I've done.
The petri dish in high school.
What was your
Where you saw
best
the
science
bacteria?
experiment?
It was the whole like effect of a cough thing.
Effect
on
of a
petri
cough?
dish. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What did you
Like holding a
what did you
petri dish
title
out.
this?
And you coughed, huh?
What did you have like a project display board?
No.
In
I just
like
had
a
petri
science fair?
dishes.
Oh, so we used to have like science fairs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever do that?
Not science based, no. I
Oh.
did like I made a board thing that stood up about Peru. That's about all I've
Oh,
done.
okay. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's got the two flaps that fold in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to have like science fairs, and you would do, your experiment, and then you'd put up like pictures and graphs and stuff of what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do yours on?
Um, I remember I remember two, I think, out of all of them. One was which fruits contain the most vitamin C. And my title was vitamin C, as in SEE question mark. Like, which one had the most vitamin C? You got it?
I guess we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then another one was, do you know what planaria are?
No.
So planaria are these like little worms. They're like maybe 5 millimeters long. Like, they're very tiny, very, very small. Like, think of the size of like hair that's on your arm, and maybe even like half of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my experiment was, do magnetic fields affect the growth of planaria?
Wow. Riveting. Any big finds?
No! You couldn't fucking measure them. I made it up.
That's awesome.
But they were cool because you could cut them in half, and then they'd become two worms. Like two worms that existed on their own.
Wow.
Yeah.
They sound like a level 4, honestly.
We're the level 4 to them. Yeah.
Oh, true. Actually, now that you were talking more, I actually did have a science fair project.
Oh yeah. What was it?
It literally was advanced autopilot. Like
Oh, you serious?
no, I'm dead ass. It was we had to make a scientific product that we could sell to consumers though. And so it was not necessarily to consumers, but something that was like tangible that you could actually sell. This wasn't like an experiment of like, I'm gonna experiment these pills on this thing. It was like um it was basically what autopilot is today, but there's these little sensors that you would drill a hole through the bumpers so that it could radar in front of you, behind you, to the side of you,
Uh-huh.
and it would adjust cruise control accordingly. Like it was pretty basic, but it wasn't a thing at that point.
Was it like, was this on a toy car? Where did you?
Oh, I never did it physically. I just like I came up with
Oh, okay, okay. I
yeah,
gotcha.
whoa, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
But I
that's
sub
pretty advanced. Like,
I submitted it to a like competition. Like that's what my high school required, that we submit a science project to this like you could win $100,000 or whatever to see it through.
okay.
They didn't even pick me.
Oh, how
I
dare
got a
they?
B on it because they didn't pick
Oh
me.
no.
She only gives A's to people who get picked.
What was
And I
your
was like, God damn you, Tesla.
did you ever have any kind of academic achievements when it came to like those types of competitions? Like spelling bee, like geography bee, like any of those types of things?
No.
No.
No. I
Oh.
had one spelling bee in 5th grade. I got out round 1.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to spell, man.
gotcha.
I don't know geography. I don't know history.
Mm.
I know math. That's about it. But I never did any of
Were you on
the.
like the math team?
No,
Mm.
I should have been, honestly,
Yeah.
but just never was. The limit does not exist.
God, I was a nerd apparently.
Were you? Well, you were.
I was a mathlete. I was a mathlete. Yeah. I'm terrible at like complex math, but when it was just like arithmetic back in like 6th grade, I was really good at that. Um, I won. So in 4th grade, we had spelling bees, and there were a few throughout the year. I won the first one within my own class. And then basically the people who won throughout the year, every class met together. So it was the whole 4th grade. And there was maybe like 15 to 20 people because it was all the winners throughout the week, like weeks or whatever. And I won that entire 4th grade one, which was a big accomplishment at the time.
That's good.
And then there was a geography bee that I was in that was the whole school, that I got 4th place in, but not 1st place.
You disgust me.
Yeah.
One thing I did, I did win something. It wasn't big, it wasn't extravagant, but I won multiple multiplication table around the world.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, multiple. But yeah, that's my only claim to fame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was also the first out every time we did Spanish vocab cards. Which is not good because I live in South Florida. Like that could actually help me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. I think when we start talking about our middle school experiences, it's probably about time to wrap up the podcast.
That is best.
Yeah.
What was your social media activity in middle school, by the way? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace.
Really?
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me.
Wow, I got to deck out my page. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Party Like a Rock Star was my
Oh,
song
totally, dude.
Totally, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, it was sick. And then I had the Playboy bunny background. It was dope.
Oh,
man.
you were one of those kids. Okay.
Yeah, womanizer. Just kidding.
It doesn't line up really at all. Okay.
Yeah, we should call this now.
Yeah. All right. Before any more embarrassing stories come up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're still here after 2 hours, thanks
What
so
are you
much
doing?
for yeah.
Wait, I mean,
get a life.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. No.
Thanks.
No. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Enjoy your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.